A little over a year ago, I bought this 2022 Off-Road Premium, and as you can see, it's been essentially stock from the moment I got it. Besides some dealer add-ons, I haven't touched the truck since I got it back in 2023. But that's not what my goal was. I think that when most of us buy a 4Runner, we've got big plans, we've got big goals. There are so many brands out there, so many different products, and each are purpose-driven. The opportunities are endless to build on this platform, and with that, I think it can become a little overwhelming for some of us beginners. So where should a beginner start? Is there an order of operations? What should I buy first? Is it okay to cheap out a little bit, or should you wait and buy the most expensive gear on the market? While this is just a shakedown test, you'll learn from my experience, my first time out, with nearly $10,000 worth of equipment that we've recently put into the 4Runner. And at the end of the video, we will assess, did I do good? Did I do bad? Should I have bought a more affordable version of one of the products? Or did I get punished for buying the cheap route? I got one of the more expensive tents on the market, but I've also got a $100 Amazon diesel heater that yells at me in Chinese. We got a lot of gear out here to test, and we are about ready to explore the rest of the Raphael Swell. Before we hit the road, let's load the 4Runner for the very first time. And let's meet our friends. Where did this trip begin? And this is where the adventure begins. So we are meeting up with my buddy Edgar. Edgar is a huge participator in an application called Overland Bound. Overland Bound is like a big forum for overlanders where people can meet. And so we ended up going to a brunch, and I met like 10 or 15 strangers. And at that brunch, we planned a trip. This is Matthew. Matthew is to thank for his extra hard work when getting everyone together and planning our trip. He came prepared with a full agenda, a rendezvous location, a variety of campsites, and a ton to see. We had a jam-packed weekend with a ton of fun things to do. Matthew's preparation helped our first ever weekend trip in the 4Runner go smoothly. One funny note, the trip he planned was nearly identical to one that my father has been asking me to go on for 2 years now. Turns out I'm going with complete strangers that I met from the internet instead. Sorry, Dad. Take me to Huntington, Utah.
Getting directions to Huntington.
A little over 2 hours, let's go. Growing up, I really always enjoyed camping, but as I became an adult, I started to go way less regularly, almost not at all. And mostly that was due to not having the kit necessary to go out and have a safe and good time. And as an obvious statement, you don't need all the Gucciest gear just to spend a night outdoors. But like I said earlier, I always wanted to modify the 4Runner. So this is the story about the time I spent nearly $10,000 to go camping. How did I do? This is the shakedown test. We've added the GFC RTT with the whole enchilada. We have an OVS 180 awning, a Cali Raised Molle panels, a SetPower fridge, and a whole lot of goodies just to make camping a little bit easier. Got like a whole lineup from GSI and a lot of other accessories. So we're gonna put them all to the test and see how I did as a beginner when outfitting my truck. So right now we're gonna set up the Go Fast Camper. We have a king camp table, and then we're gonna cook some burgers, and we're gonna hang around the campfire. Let's get after it. Make sense?
I think so.
The mount, the T-nuts are rusting. That's wild. I haven't even used the tent yet. I think it's frozen shut. Good morning. we made it through the night. I gotta tell you, that diesel heater cooked, bro. I had to lose some layers and put Kaylee closer to the heater. It was nice, huh? We stayed nice and comfortable around the campfire while we were talking gear. I was like, guys, I gotta go do dishes. And my buddy Edgar was like, do them tomorrow. And boil water while you're at it. And that is the best life advice I've ever received. So we are boiling water on the GSI with the Bugaboo camper. We're in the rest of the Bugaboo. Everything you see here besides the sink folds up into one pan. And we're about to go hit some trails and see the rest of this area. What do you think of the Raphael swell?
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. What about the little Grand Canyon?
It's fine.
It's fine?
Yeah, it looks cool. It's
pretty
pretty.
cool.
Yeah.
Does your back hurt? How was that mattress?
It was good. Doesn't. I mean, my back hurts a little because of how cold my feet were, but that's the only thing.
Edgar has one of those propane things. I haven't seen those yet. This Jeep over here, 1,000,000% the most interesting rig here, and I'm a Toyota fan. That thing is crazy.
So I thought we'd just do a little chat and share. I always like to know like who has first aid experience. If in case anything happens, we know who to talk to. It sounds like Stephanie's a nurse.
Steph's a nurse.
Anyone else have first aid?
Anna is a nurse. What was a nurse in Bakudo like a long time ago? She can take like.
Yeah.
I kind of got some.
Yeah.
I did that first aid. Cool. I did a Wharton's course, and I also have like a first aid
Okay.
on my car.
Cool. And then in terms of recovery experience, recovering vehicles and having, so I know you have some stuff.
I've just put myself in this stuff.
I'm a very rookie.
Yeah, okay, cool. Other things is being mindful of the person behind you if there's any like forks in the road, making sure that the guy behind you sees you. And then if there's oncoming traffic or something, usually I'll call something out in front, but call stuff out like that for the person behind you. Anything else that you guys think's good to know? We got the comms thing out of the way already.
Yeah.
You can't talk over someone when they're talking.
Yeah. Just highlight one thing. If you feel uncomfortable, just call out, say, and comfortable in this. But we can guide you through. This should be fine. If something is too uncomfortable, you come back.
Right?
Yeah.
So
We don't want anything to break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I want everybody to have fun.
Yeah. So if we need to stop and adjust stuff or anything.
And I always slow down in time because my rig is long. You know?
Yeah.
I got that 6-foot bed. So.
And if we get into situations where things are spinning and we need to talk through stuff, I can call out like when I turn my locker on or something, if we come across those obstacles.
Okay.
I haven't been down here. I know Gaciano's been down some of this stuff, or probably most of it actually. Well,
As soon as you hit the canyon down, it should be fine. It's like yesterday, like a pretty good road. As long as you don't take the detour that I took, it should be
different
fine.
route.
Yeah, different route. It's a little bit more challenging, but the rest is fine.
And just be mindful of the mud if you slide down stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, I was just talking.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah, being mindful of that and ask me how I know. Cool. Awesome. Well, I think we're set, and yeah, catch you guys on comms.
Sounds good.
I think that universally, people reminisce their childhood. Adults tell children not to grow up too fast and to take it all in. Now, why is that? Do we miss the freedom? What is it that we miss most about childhood? This is where my head was at during this trip when it hit me. I don't think that people miss childhood. I think that they miss new experiences. As I approach my early 30s, I'm beginning to realize that I have a good grasp on life. Most of my experiences going forward might just be a fresh take on something I've experienced before. I'm drawn to overlanding because it systematically resembles childhood. Each trip is a new experience. The whole philosophy is to see the world in a way you haven't before. And when you're driving deep in the wilderness, you get a little bit of your freedom back. We don't miss childhood, we miss having new experiences. What's going on right now?
We're setting up for a photo, a group photo.
What do you think of Mother Nature?
It's pretty. It's cool.
Wow, these people.
Okay, cool. I think we're good to roll.
It's day 2 and we begin our adventure. So we just wrapped up a little amazing B-roll session. We were out on this little overlook, guys. It was awesome. There was probably 20 feet wide and just cliffs on both sides. It really was similar to the Grand Canyon. So now we're out adventuring, and yeah, I don't really know what's in store, but we got some wheeling to do. So it sounds like we'll be able to set up camp later today before sun goes down. So I'll be able to get a little bit more cinematic with it and show you guys the kit that we are out testing. So far, there's not many weak points besides maybe the Blue Eddy. It had a temperature warning, so I'm not able to charge it right now. And if that doesn't charge sometime today, we might not be able to rock a heater, in which case we will be left to test our 40-degree sleeping bag in 10 degrees.
So the main reason I iron down is for comfort while I'm on the trail, because when you're on those washboard roads, you're pretty much rattling everything, and this just helps alleviate that, as well as relieve some of the wear and tear on your shock and suspension systems. So I use this Morphlate to inflate and deflate, and then I air back up in less than a minute with the power tank. Because
this gets is that just compressed air?
so it's I think it's just carbon dioxide.
Yes. So you have that filled when it's out?
Yes.
And then, okay, nice. So
But
it's not actually a compressor, it's just already compressed.
Whereas a compressor, you gotta wait for the air to fill up inside of the compressor itself. This is instantaneous gas exiting at a high rate. So really your only bottleneck is this. But if you had a bigger chuck, you could fill up even faster.
Nice. I've never seen that actually, so that's cool. So just like that, we're down to 20 on stock wheels and tires from Toyota, right? Mm-hmm. And you could go lower if you had bead lockers and everything, but that should help out on the washboard, right?
Yes.
Sweet.
You'll notice it.
All right, day 2, stop 1. We are at a historic site in southern Utah. If you're watching this from California, this is actually in southern Idaho. So we're gonna check it out and see what the spot has. This is one of the most famous pictographs in southern Idaho. Anyways, it spans over 130 feet of the cliff face and was painted over 2,000 years ago. That's almost as long ago as Toyota's longest running vehicle was released. Jokes aside, the red pigment was created using powdered hematite. I don't really know what that is. Mixed with animal fat, eggs, and other fluids. That's enough of a history lesson that I read off the internet. Here's a more scientific interpretation of the art on these walls. So I was telling Kaylee, my interpretation of that pictograph is actually that the one on the left is a snake and the other one is a man holding up his arms, and the floating ball to the side is actually his head. So I think that man got poisoned by a snake and lost a head. I think it's a warning. So we just wrapped up lunch. I made these awesome, super fancy, like, girl, we are glamping right now. I made sandwiches. They had both lettuce and tomato, salt and pepper. We are officially the best cooks in town. Until we went to the other rigs and someone was eating steak. And another rig was eating lemon herb chicken made in a crock pot. Chicken sausages. I thought I was fancy, Kaylee. All right, get rolling, says Comms. Let's go. Boom. I've always considered myself as a bit of an introvert, an adventurous introvert. As time goes on, I do agree that there are times where I actually get a surge of energy when being social. This is one of those times. If this trip and this group of people are accurate representations of what my experience overlanding is going to be like, then I made the right choice getting into this. This trip was magical. Unlike last night, which was a complete mystery to us, we now have an ounce of experience, and with that experience, some expectations. Last night we slept warm, comfortably, and uninterrupted. As we wrap up our final night on this trip, we look forward to getting some much needed rest. While we're expecting a dry night, it's going to be a cold one, 15 degrees to be exact. We came prepared with a diesel heater. If that fails, our only other option is a 40-degree survivability rated sleeping bag and each other's body heat. Earlier I mentioned we couldn't charge the Blue Eddy. If anything goes wrong, my guess would be that it has to do with power and not fuel. We set up our diesel heater with more than 3/4 of a tank remaining. Let's cook dinner before bed. This was a backup meal. I originally planned on sloppy joes, but forgot the manwich sauce. So instead of having straight ground beef on bread, we opted to have our mac and cheese. This is a voila meal. I brought this because I tend to burn food on this Bugaboo camper and GSI stovetop from lack of experience. It turned out great. Time to catch that much needed rest. We rise with the sun. Kaylee and I are prompt to gather around the fire. This is the first heat that we've had since 2 in the morning. Now what is this about your fancy $100 diesel heater? Did it run out of power? Did the Blue Eddy let us down? Let's rewind to 2 in the morning. We get an error message, just one problem. It's in Chinese. This diesel heater was persistent at getting its point across. It would shout in Chinese, followed by 30 seconds of nothing. Then it would shout in Chinese again. It couldn't have run out of power, or it wouldn't be able to wake me and the whole camp up with its illegible language. So what's the problem? I was hoping that the error message would go away and I could ride out the rest of the night with the remaining heat in the tent. But the message went on, and on, for more than 5 minutes. If I put all my layers back on and get out of the tent, opening the doors will let all the heat out, and if the heater doesn't get up and running again, that could be a serious problem. If I don't get out of the tent right now, the Chinese diesel heater will bother these 15 strangers who were kind enough to invite me on their trip. The anxiety builds. After 5 minutes of being insulted in a language that I don't understand, I get dressed. As I'm putting my last shoe on, we get another error message, followed by eternal silence. It turns out the diesel heater, while on a lower setting, used more than 3 times as much fuel the second night from the first night. And we were left to ride out the remainder of the night with the residual heat that was produced from when the heater was functioning properly. Good morning, everyone. It is day 3 and the final day of our trip with all of the strangers that we met from the internet. I say you should definitely go meet strangers off the internet. So we're gonna pack up camp here. We're gonna go back home where it's nice and warm and shower where we aren't breathing in diesel films when we sleep. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna pack up camp, and as I go through all of the gear we're packing in the truck, I'm just gonna give you like a real brief assessment on where I'm at with everything, how things are going, and just like a little mini review. Almost everything here will end up having a video of its own, but yeah, let's start working through this. We'll start with the diesel heater. Key not detected. That's not good. The key's missing. Where are our keys?
I don't know. I don't know where you put them.
This is the story about the time we got stranded in southern Utah. Dad's toilet. We brought a sawdust toilet. It's nice for peace of mind. It took up so much space, and like all of these trails had bathrooms. All right, so pop-up sink, not much you can really comment on it. So far I'm using it more than I expected. and it's great for washing dishes in hot water. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna use a super heavy 7-gallon water jug to fill up some water to boil for dishes. If we had a pump, we could just, but we don't have a pump. So this is what it's like washing dishes without a Lone Rock Concepts water spout. All right, this is GSI. I tell you guys, during the daylight hours, I burn everything on this thing. I think that's user error, but it is really hard to see on these propane heaters when the flame's at its lowest before it sputters out. So this is the Selkirk 460 Plus. GSI offers 3 different stoves. This is number 2. So there's one lower and one higher than this. If I went back, I probably would have forked out the cash to get the one that's higher. Mostly because they offer a carry sack for that, so you can keep it nice. And I feel like this is just gonna get beat up since there's no way to protect it on the road. So got this up. Besides my user errors on it, I am finding it a little bit extra challenging to get the connector to connect to the stove right here. I feel like I really gotta force it in and twist it on. Yeah, that's my only criticism so far. So other than that, it's been good. We've ate this whole weekend on here, so I didn't actually really burn much this time either. It was just the other times trying to cook frozen chicken and sausages. Like bratwurst sausages, none of them breakfast sausages. I can cook those ones. While we wait for that water to boil, I'm gonna pack up this nan light. This is the 4-foot pavo tube. This is totally not practical if you're not a photographer or videographer. It ends up being about a $500 light, which is super overkill for camping. But since I already had it for my video production company, I was like, hey, it's super practical for camping. Full RGB, red. You can have a disco rave with it if you want. White, whatever you want, full adjustable, rechargeable, works out. This is a Overland channel and not a videography channel, so I won't go too deep into this, but I did get a couple shots on the slider last night. This is the newer 40-inch slider. It's pretty affordable for what it is, and I like it a lot. All right, water's just about boiling, so I'll go ahead and pour this into our sink. I am gonna top off and do one more of those. Just for the sake of having more water to wash with. I bet everyone is so mad that I didn't open this up. I know, this lets the air breathe so that this will pour smoother. You see that, Kaylee? Alright, it made a bigger difference than I expected. I'm gonna do that from now on. Our propane's frozen. I don't know if that's dangerous or not, but if I go boom, that's why. And our dish soap is in fact frozen. I don't really have a workaround for this, but I think I'm still gonna at least get the food off of some of the dishes and wash them at home. Our propane froze, so now we're having trouble boiling water for dishes, and we have to leave camp in like 20 minutes. So we might have to just pack up down and dirty and get out of here. While our beautiful assistant Kaylee begins putting away our Bugaboo camper, we're going to talk about how it's doing. So on this first Shakedown overlanding journey, my car was packed so full, and you're starting to realize pretty quickly that lighter, smaller, and more compact is worth a lot of value. So if you look at a Bugaboo camper in terms of that's $120 for some pots, you're looking at it from the wrong frame of perspective. What you need to do is realize you have a whole kitchen cook set in about a square foot of space. It's all anti-stick and really, really good. We've loved cooking on it so far. Everything packs up. With the Bugaboo camper, we have their knife set and their 24-piece kitchen utensils, which has given us everything we need to make a great meal out here in the desert. All right, the Go Fast Campers RTT. This is the crown jewel of the collection and the reason that we started an Overlander build. I just saw one of these on the internet on a YouTube video a few years ago, and I knew that this was it for me. Just the way that there's no roof rack involved, but you can use it as a roof rack, and it's just a sleek metal box when it's not in use. I love this tent. So far the mattress has been comfortable. We're gonna tear it down real quick. This is just a regular rifle strap that goes in here for the pull down. Carabiners to hold up the tent. While we stand on our C4 ladder, which looks really good. I don't know what else to say about a ladder. Your widow ladder on your TRU Pro. So as instructed by GFC, I just opened the front pockets just to help the air out of the tent while we put it down. So for tear down, we're just gonna let the weight of the tent push the air out on the first pass. Once that starts to create a sill, we're gonna lift it up. And like karate chop the fabric so there's clear tension on both sides, the full length from the back to the front. When I was first doing this as a beginner, I would pull my arms out when the tent got down to here. I've realized you gotta do it all the way to the very end, all the way to the finish line, and that'll help with the tear down. I'm pulling tension towards each other on both sides, and then just stuff the rest of this at the very end. I'm gonna do a walk around. This is so that we can see if there's any orange on the outside. If there's orange, yes, you're pinching the fabric and it's bad, but it also wicks moisture from the outside of the tent inside, which is bad for mildew and mold. So I'm just gonna hit it. You probably don't have to do this once you've figured it out, but sometimes the loops do come out. So I'm just making sure that's good. This has proven more challenging once I installed the awning. So I'm just gonna kind of do a quick visual. There was a loop, and again, that loop would have let all the moisture from outside of the truck into the tent. Now we're ready to close the tent. GFC mentioned if you're on a little bit of a hill or cold, sometimes those are a little challenging. It might be nice to leave a little bit more play in that, but they are machine shop and tolerances are good. So while this video was a shakedown test and really just a rig tour and product overview of the kit that I took out my very first time camping, I am excited to show you in future videos a little bit more about the adventure. So thanks for watching, subscribe for our next content, and we'll see you guys soon.